everyone, and welcome to IGN Anime Club, episode 31. Yay, anime!
Yay, anime!
Yay, is that the
That's
yay
the thing.
anime?
Yes, they came up with it. Like I said
Oh.
it when things got kind of awkward.
Yay anime.
Yeah,
There you
and
go.
then everybody just started saying yay anime. I was like, I guess
Alright.
this is our
That
thing.
works, yeah.
Yeah,
That's our thing.
it's cool.
These things happen. Beyond.
Yeah, so I'm Marina Sanchez, your host, and joining me as always is Kelly Plaguey.
Hello.
Megan Sullivan.
Hey.
And returning, finally, again,
Hey.
Max Scoville.
How's it going?
Hey, it's going well.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, thanks
It's
for
been a while.
coming on.
I've been real bad about watching a lot of anime.
Surprise, us too.
Yeah, it's hard. There's so much
This
of
is
it.
an anime show. We don't even watch anime anymore.
This is like if you made a podcast about just TV in general, and it was like, well, they sure have 24 hours of programming on
Did you watch
every
Cops
channel.
last night?
Why aren't you talking about Cops?
Why did you watch the new season of Cops? Isn't it the same
Reruns
thing?
of Big Bang Theory.
Review The Good Wife. Like,
Welcome to our life.
It's November, and November is basically when we all die, and then we're reborn again later.
Yeah, we just live over Christmas and watch all the shows we missed.
yeah.
Yeah.
fine.
So currently, we're not watching a whole lot, unfortunately. I tried.
Got so much games that I had to be off the show last week, so, you know.
Although I got
Happens.
lucky because the review/anime thing that I did kind
Tell
of
us
is
about your
topical.
review
So
anime thing.
yay! So by the time you're watching this was yesterday or 2 days ago. I don't know how time works.
Tomorrow. It'll be up
But
tomorrow,
I
Wednesday.
reviewed Sword Art Online Lost Song. It was okay. It's about the nicest. So it's Sword Art Online just can't seem to win when it comes to games, and it's
That's funny because it's a
Functional.
game. It's an anime about a game.
it's an anime about a game.
I think it's pretty set up already. You know?
But the problem is it's in Alpha Online, which is that awful second story arc in the first season, which they do retcon and replace it with a really boring story. But it's all about flying. But the cool thing in that whole concept is you have a virtual reality helmet on and you think you're really flying. And I'm like, that would be awesome. Like we have some Oculus Rift and some PlayStation VR stuff that's coming out about walking and looking around the world.
we got Miku
and-
concert. You know?
yeah, it's that's it, and it's really
There you go.
cool. But in this game, you're just with a controller, and it's not the same. And so everything in the game works, and the multiplayer is fun. And that's about it.
It works.
Baby's first JRPG.
I think one of the biggest disappointments I've had just growing up is realizing that licensed games or games that are based on something that's not a game are frequently bad.
Yeah.
Even if they're based on something that's based on a game. Like it should, like Sword Art Online should make sense to be like a perfect game, but
Right.
if it was meant to be a game, it would have been a game instead of the manga anime. You know? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I remember just kind of having this weird misconception growing up and being like, oh, like Japan makes good video games. They have more video games there, and therefore if they make a video game based on anime, it's going to be naturally will be a better game. And that's absolutely not the case.
Yeah.
Like that's why there's like a Cowboy Bebop like shoot 'em up and then like a Evangelion pinball machine or whatever.
Yeah,
like there's
I saw the pachinko. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
Pachinko.
yeah.
Yeah.
Pachinko. I was like, oh,
But,
that's
yeah, I mean, like,
what I wanted.
There's like a handful of Dragon Ball games that I played like growing up, and they're all pretty off. Like there's a handful of good ones, but there's
I mean,
also
there's
like
tons of new Dragon Ball games all the time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they've
the
gotten it down
fighter
to
brawlers.
kind of a science. But
Yeah.
like
Right. I've reviewed quite a few One Piece games for IGN, and that always is a weird mix of, this has a huge following, it's super popular, but the game execution's so weird. I think
Yeah.
the highest I've ever given one of the One Piece games is like a 7 or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. To be fair, Dot Hack does it okay. Like they have
Dot Hack
had
was
game.
fun. Yeah.
Dot Hack actually is pretty good. It's an offline MMO based on a MMO type. It's like Sword Art Online, but better.
Yeah, it's like where it actually works.
Yeah,
You know,
that's a
it's
good
immersive
example of
and
something
fun.
that works. So I'm not
Yeah.
trying to hate on those games, but I think
yeah, no.
anything that's licensed property generally tends to be terrible unless it has Arkham somewhere in the title.
Yeah.
So-
fair assessment.
yeah,
I mean, I'd love to see like American studios tackle anime properties. I think it'd be fascinating.
Yeah.
There was an Akira game that never saw the light of day.
Really?
I bought the original Pikachu. Oh, sorry. Pioneer dub of Akira. I love that dub, by the way. But I bought it on like VHS at an antique store, and I opened it up, and this piece of paper came out that was like, pre-order the upcoming Sega Genesis Akira game, and I did some research, and there are like 3 or 4 screenshots floating around of this, but it basically looks like Road Rash with Kaneda.
Right.
But like that never happened.
Amazing.
That just disappeared. It evaporated.
Yeah.
Like,
There's a cool Sailor Moon mobile game in Japan.
Yeah.
yeah.
Never gonna come here probably.
I would
Wasn't
so
the Sailor Moon game out in Europe too recently?
Oh, but that was trash.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a few years ago.
What would a good Sailor Moon game be like?
I mean, it's so easy. You're just fighting crime. You're just fighting the
Yeah.
demons.
It would be like Turtles in Time, but with Sailor Scouts
That's-
going against the Negaverse.
The best
awesome.
answer, yeah.
Yeah.
Just a good old fashioned just beat 'em up. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
A
all
beat 'em up.
it's really a beat 'em up, and but instead of turtles, you've got Sailor Scouts beating up Negaverse monsters.
That's perfect. That's all you need.
Somebody make that, please.
Everything I've ever wanted, actually. Let's make that happen.
Yes.
Yeah, at least we still have dating sims. I don't know. I mean,
There
that's
you
all we
go.
can ask for. Maybe one day
I
we'll
love
get.
visual novels and dating sims
Yeah, maybe
so much.
Hopefully, we'll see better games out there
Yeah.
for animes. But until
For the
then,
animes.
I mean,
all
at least
the
like the
animes.
Naruto games and stuff are like they're fun, like they're different, but they're not super like story intensive like the same way you see as an RPG. But
Yeah.
one day,
One day.
maybe. So, what are you guys watching? Like, what have you been up to, Max? You said not much.
I think you guys had a tease this. You had Chastity on a week ago or 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago, and she spoiled all of my birthday presents. She spoiled it, but I found out after the fact. She's like, "Yeah, I talked about what I got you for your birthday, which was Project ACO and Dirty Pair and Bubblegum Crisis and Fist of the North Star, which are." I've seen a little bit of Fist of the North Star, but that's kind of scattered out all over the place. The other stuff I'd never seen, and it's all kind of stuff that I'd seen in like the back pages of like old Wizard magazines and stuff.
Yeah.
And very much the kind of thing that I should familiarize myself with. And oh my god, it's so good. It's such good trash. It's
I
so
love 80s anime like that. When she said that she got you Project ACO, I flipped out. I was like, oh my God, I remember that. I love that series.
I don't remember like that one. I kind of missed entirely. Like I don't know if it just wasn't around when I was younger or what. But like Bubblegum Crisis, I remember the name, and I was like, that sounds dumb. That's a dumb name for a thing. I don't know. I want to watch Dragon Ball Z, and like it's all sort of dumb. But like I watched the first episode of that last night, or first episode, and it was really really weird because it's that came out I think 87. I think it was an OVA, and
Yeah.
like it's got some pretty big Akira ripoff stuff going on.
Really?
And like Akira was like a hugely popular manga at the time, and like the movie hadn't come out yet. But there's all this stuff that shows up in the anime that's like just fighting a big old tentacle monster in a construction site, and there's like people in biker jackets and motorcycles, and like it's
Oh wow,
all
I didn't
sort
even
of-
try to hide
familiar.
it.
Yeah, I know,
I was
it's
like,
like-
you like Akira? Here you go.
and I'm like, how much of this is like just kind of part of anime that I hadn't seen up to this point, or how much of it was stuff that Akira did? And I can't help but feel like it's kind of taken some cues from, Akira. But weirdly enough, there's actually a shot in there that I'm fairly certain James Cameron ripped off for Terminator. There's a part where like they're fighting one of the boomers, which are like the bad androids or whatever, and somebody like unloads a bunch of like bullets at this thing, and they like get lodged in his chest, and he totally does the T-1000 thing where he just like expands and pops them out, and like that was it Terminator 2 came out like
1991.
91
I think it was
or 2,
91,
yeah.
yeah.
And like so that's totally in the same time frame that Cameron would have seen that, and like he's openly a big anime fan because he likes Battle Angel Alita and stuff. But,
Wow.
I'm just like, oh, is that what inspired that? I don't know. Was that the first time anything was shot that made the bullets pop out of it? But it seemed like it was very similar. So
Right.
That's cool. That's interesting. Do they explain why it's called Bubblegum Crisis? Is there no bubblegum in that future?
I have not figured that out
They're
yet.
here to kick butt and chew bubblegum, and
they're
they're all out of bubblegum.
That could work. It's very like it's really fun. Like it's seriously like it starts out with just like a pop music scene. Like it starts out with like a Kim Wilde video basically.
Oh, well,
But pretty much it's like what if you had Evangelion, but instead of like sad teenagers, they were like sexy 20-something pop stars who could like they just had robot suits for some reason.
okay, well, that makes sense then, because bubblegum pop is a term.
There you go. Yeah.
Bubblegum
So
pop
it's
is like happy, poppy,
Yeah.
Yep.
80s pop.
I mean, the
so-
whole it's 80s anime is just very bubblegum in general.
I
but-
love the 80s.
There's this great part though. We're watching it and like they're fighting this big monster and he's on like the freeway and he's going around, he's messing everything up and he's eating cars and just smashing everything. And this guy's like, there's like helicopters shooting him and they're like dudes with rocket launchers and it's just like it's crazy. It's just totally over the top 80s anime. And then this dude's like, we should call in the army. And I'm like, what the hell did you call in already? Like, you're already like shooting it and with lasers, and it's I don't know, but
Just
it was
their friends,
And I'm just like, I was watching it, I'm like, this is nonsense. This is like wonderful, wonderful gibberish. And if I'd seen it when I was 11, I would have been like, oh, it's got a great story. It's all very good. I'm like, this is junk food.
Yeah.
It's bubblegum. It's in the title. It's great.
I've also been watching kind of nonsense.
Yeah, you've got. I saw you in your notes here.
Revolutionary Girl Utena, which is
Oh man, that takes me back.
yeah. So I've been watching this dubbed in the background while I edit videos because I have like so much editing. And it's kind of like mindless after a while, so I like to put something on that I can listen to. And so I've been watching Utena, and I'm in the third arc. And by now, I'm just like, I think I know what you're trying to say here, but it's also just gibberish, like incest. I don't know. Like,
This is like a.
Yikes!
What's the time period for this? Like, when did this come out?
this is in the 90s. I'm
90s?
pretty
Yeah.
sure, like sometime in the 90s.
And is this magical
Later
girl
90s.
fair?
Yes.
A light
Kind
magical
of,
girl.
kind
Like
of.
there are like similarities. The director went on to do Penguin Drum and Yuri Kumarashi, and he did some stuff on Sailor Moon too.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
he likes the magical girl kind of thing.
Okay.
So transformation scenes are a big deal.
They are a big deal. They're great.
Yeah, so if you guys don't know what Utena is, it's about a girl whose parents died when she was a little kid, and this guy comes up and says, hey, you'll be fine. Don't lose your spunk. You'll be good. And he gives her a ring, and she's just so impressed that she's like, I'm going to be a prince one day too. And it's her going to middle school and trying to figure out who this prince guy is now that she's older, and she's like, I'm in love with this guy. I want to figure out who he is. And she winds up ending in this weird conflict with the student council because they're actually all secretly duelists, and they're all fighting over this one lady called Rose Bride, and if they win, they get to keep her, and she gets power, and she gives them power. So, yep.
That sounds like a real anime right there.
It's anime.
I just love that. Like, is there anything else where they're going to be like, all right, so check it out. Some real fairy tale stuff happened, very, very magical, but everyone's in middle school, and you're like, oh man,
Yeah.
You've got like the most like fantastical, wonderful setup, but it's coupled with the mundane. You're like,
Yeah.
I've got a
Yeah.
recital.
A lot of anime does that actually. Just a lot of keeping it grounded in something like, oh, we're just going to our club activities, but after that we're witches, and I'm like, okay.
It's like,
I
okay,
don't know.
but
It's so different. We were talking about 80s anime, and that had a lot more like adults as the heroes, and now everything is in middle
Bombast.
school and high school, and you're like, all right, these middle school and high schoolers have a lot of magical adventures.
And they also don't act like middle schoolers usually.
No.
It's like that's a very adult thing to do.
It's
Yeah,
always
alright.
so weird when you find out how old an anime character actually is.
Yep.
Like, Yoko Littner's like, what, 12?
12
14
or 14 or something.
And I'm like, no, she's not. She is so not. That's a lie.
Well, I love the age old thing where it's like, oh, it's this 13-year-old girl is actually several thousand years old. And you're like,
yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
go on.
You're like, okay.
Yeah, but Utena's been a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. It's like I said, it's very weird, but it's also really awesome. Like it pays a lot of attention to its characters, and it gives them all time, even though if they're not the main character. So I like that a lot.
Yep.
That's what I'm
Also,
watching.
awesome opening and ending themes.
Yes, they're amazing. I
Love
listen to
the
them all
music.
the
So
time.
good.
Yeah. So good.
I had a topic I was curious about. Have you guys ever found an anime opening where it doesn't have somebody running?
Oh my god, I'd have
Like
to think about that.
I've like I always look for that whenever I watch something and I haven't seen it. Like, has that been established?
There has to be one somewhere.
I mean,
no.
that's a good question.
I'm
for,
just
for
going
listeners,
through.
you know.
I'm going through all the openings I've seen
Elf-
recently, and I'm like, nope.
Elfin lied. I don't think anybody is running in that.
Wait,
It's a bunch of portraits.
Yami Shibai, no one's running.
All right,
Yeah, so we just saw it too.
Wait, there's little kids on a playground though, so someone might be running.
you got to go back and check, and then
Gotta-
they'll do those sneaky things where someone's like, it's a silhouette of somebody running, but it's on the sunset, and then somebody's in the foreground.
There's a bird somewhere.
Yeah.
A sky shot. You know.
Oh my,
They're
yeah.
all the
I think
same.
it's in people's contracts that you have to have an action shot of some sort.
Yeah.
So
The opening.
Yeah.
Running away from the anime
Running
track.
is exciting. It's great.
It keeps your show going.
Running towards the show where it starts. That's how you open it. You gotta
Oh my god, I'm late.
I'm late for my own show.
Scott, what have you been up to?
So speaking of like coupling mundane with kind of extremes, I started Nichijou, which is My Ordinary Life, which is a comedy anime. I think it started as a manga, and it's supposed to be an ordinary life, but then like really weird things happen. So
Whoa, surprise.
yeah, what? Whoa,
I'd be more weird at this point if there was an anime that was just about regular life.
I
just
mean, there's
sound euphonium.
Wakiko's
but like
Wakiko's
really,
okay.
really boring, and you're just like, this isn't interesting
it's
at
not
all.
bad.
But it's a cartoon.
Therefore,
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I didn't have time to get too far into Nichijou, but I've seen so many like clips and like photo sets of Nichijou like on Tumblr. There's one where one girl's like, robots are cute, and the other girl's like, no, they're not. She's like, no, they are cute. And then like one girl's arm turns into a gun. She's like, how about a gun? And the girl's like, robots are cute, and like that's the end of the scene. Like just arms turns into guns.
Yeah, I've seen
Huh.
some of Nichijou.
Yeah.
Like, now that you mentioned that, I remember the show.
Yeah. So I'm excited to get more into that.
Is it one story arc or just a bunch of non sequiturs or?
I started the first episode, so I'm not actually sure. To me, from what I've seen, it seems like a bunch of weird non sequiturs.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it
It
sounds
could
like
be.
Osamatsu.
It's supposed to be super super funny. I have a lot of friends who really like it, so I'm excited to start that in earnest. I did start it, but yeah, there is running in that theme song, by the way.
That sounds like a good theme song.
Yeah, lots of running. That's the mark of a good opening sequence.
Most anime is good.
Cool. Well, now that we've gone over the limited anime we've been watching, usually that segment's so long too.
Yeah.
We watch so much.
Oh
Not
wait,
anymore.
actually, I totally remember something I watched.
What'd you watch?
I watched this thing it's on Crunchyroll. It's called Lily Cat, and it is a cross between John Carpenter's The Thing and Alien. Like,
Nope.
You have my full attention.
but
That
it's
is awesome.
but it's real grimy 80s anime, and there's something. It's like the setup is like if you watch it, you're like, this looks like somebody did like a cool stylized, like they drew a Ridley Scott movie. But there's one really key difference. I mean, the whole idea is like, oh, they're like on this spaceship and they're going to this place and they're gonna like, then there's a monster. Oh no, that's terrible. But the weird thing is that there's, whereas in Alien, there's like that kind of, like there's a sense that the corporation is bad. Like in a lot of kind of American sci-fi, you have that. In this case, they don't have that, and they basically like they're like, oh no, there's stowaways, and there's like a guy who's really all gung ho about the corporation, and I'm like, that seems like they changed like one key thing that would be less acceptable in Japan.
It's aliens told from the perspective of the corporation.
Exactly.
Is what it
Yeah.
sounds like.
Like, I mean, that's the thing. You know, you have that. There is that whole like kind of. There's more of an attitude to be like, you know, faithful to your job and stuff. And there's like a guy who's like, I'm gonna plant the corporation's flag on this planet, and it's like, And they're like, but like to have other elements in there that are like, I mean, the whole thing in Alien is like, oh, like the bad guys are actually the guys who are the bosses, you know. But in this case, they're like criminals have snuck aboard. But anyway, that's
Yeah.
That's a real very pretty ugly anime. It's worth looking into.
I like it.
I don't know. I like aliens, so
I love
like
that
Alien.
it
series.
sounds weird though. It sounds cool. Mm-hmm. Old anime is fun. Speaking of old things, it's not that old. Ghibli, Studio Ghibli.
That's our topic.
Finally.
Yes, our topic.
The whole reason I've been waiting for this episode just to bring back Max. I was just like, when we talk about Ghibli, we have to bring back Max.
We'll talk about some Ghibli.
'Cause-
I got a Totoro tattoo.
Exactly, like
Little-
nice.
little man.
You have
He's
to
so
be here. So
cute.
cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also a reason I wanted to do this is because North America is finally getting a Miyazaki collection or any sort of Ghibli collection.
Yes, which me and Miranda actually unboxed the other day. You can go at IGN.com and check it out.
It's really pretty.
Yeah,
If you're
Max is
watching this
holding
video,
it.
you can look at it right here.
That's
Yeah,
true.
It's
got
really
this-
nice.
Is it the dubs or is there
They have
choice?
so I looked because somebody asked me, and they have subs and dubs.
Yes.
Which is awesome. At least for the one that I checked. I checked Mononoke, and I'm pretty sure they
Right,
all
well,
do.
I'm buying that.
Yeah, so it's
Oh, wow,
awesome.
this
it's
is incredible.
It's
This is
beautiful. It has a
gorgeous.
lot of like
Got a
extras. It's all Miyazaki stuff, so you're not gonna get the other Ghibli things, but it's only leaving out a few considering.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
Miyazaki's
Yeah, so
pretty.
Did most of
we've
the
got
things
Castle of
together.
Cagliostro, Nazca, Castle in the Sky, Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service, Porco Rosso, Mononoke, Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, Ponyo, Wind Rises, and bonus features.
Yeah,
So-
bonus features. Disc.
Woo,
Yeah.
features.
I think it's
That's
like
a
some
jam.
episodes.
Yeah.
of
I am
anime.
totally gonna buy that. It's gorgeous. I
Yeah.
didn't
Okay.
get a chance to look at it up
It's-
close.
Yeah, this
yet.
is real pretty.
expensive.
Yeah.
But it's good for Christmas. Like, hey, Christmas right around the
How
corner.
expensive?
$215 on Amazon.
And that's literally the only way you can watch some of these because I tried
Right.
looking on Netflix and Amazon and Disney's like, nope, you have to buy the
So you do have to buy the
Really?
Blu-rays for, yeah,
'Cause
for
I-
a lot.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ponyo was on Netflix for a long time, and then they took it off.
But I mean, Katie, is it Disney doing the Disney Vault thing?
Probably.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably.
Okay, because I've been buying the Ghibli stuff kind of piecemeal as it's come out on Blu-ray.
Right, same.
And I think there's like 3 that I don't have at this point, and I was really frustrated about this, but to learn that it is just the Miyazaki stuff is kind of a relief because I thought it was all Ghibli.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does some real good anime. He's an incredibly talented man.
He's
Been,
literally a one-man anime studio, basically. I think
Yeah.
I read he does like 70% of his work on all his stuff, which is amazing.
So
Yeah.
what's your guys' personal favorites? If you've picked show on the cover or pick one. They're all
It's like play
exciting.
bingo. Yeah, just
That's a
shoot
tough
at it.
call because I don't.
I grew up with the Ghibli films, and I don't know how many times I watched Kiki's Delivery Service with my twin sister because she was super crazy about it, and I loved it, and Gigi's great. But my favorite is definitely Spirited Away. Like, I watched Mononoke last night for the first time completely. Like, I've watched like bits and pieces of it here and there, but even though that is like probably like a big favorite from everybody usually, Spirited Away is just like really special because it hits that perfect balance of like mysticism with reality, but instead of just having it overlaid, like it takes you to an entire another world, and it's just kind of fun.
I love Spirited Away. I think Spirited Away is one of the strongest, like in terms of if I had to pick one to keep watching.
Yeah.
Because it's got scary stuff and it's got really cute stuff and it's got pleasant stuff and it's kind of like he does that thing where he draws you into the world. It starts out and you're like, oh, it's a normal kid, and then it's suddenly very much not normal. I love that Totoro does that too, but it doesn't really. It's still like there are a few magical elements in an otherwise pretty ordinary world.
Right.
It's very much like, is this a child's imagination? In the case of Spirited Away, it's like, this is very much like a different world.
Yeah.
And then you have something like Mononoke or Howl's Moving Castle where it's an entirely magical world. And it's sort of less like, I like that it does that transition. Like it kind of draws viewers in. I think Spirited Away is incredible in the way that it tackles childhood fears.
Yeah, and she's so relatable because when you first get in, like, move into a new town, she's not really excited, not really showing her personality. And then when she gets into this fantastical new world, you see her personality start shining through and her becoming more comfortable with this new area she's in, even though she's not living in the spirit world, but, you know,
Yeah,
you get to see.
the way that time passes in that movie is really weird too. Like,
Right.
It's you kind of get the sense that you're like it's very like that kind of fairy tale. Like, oh, you're locked away in a tower. Like it's kind of just it's. But also when you're a kid, like time is just slower. So is she there for a week? Is she there for a few days? You know, there's kind of a montage.
Yeah, they kind of imply a while because at the
Yeah.
very end, when they go back to the car is just like
Yeah.
full
It's,
of like
covered
trees and
with
twigs and
leaves
bushes and stuff
Yeah,
like
so
that.
It's
which
like,
is
oh,
really
we
cool.
missed the movers.
Yeah.
Yep, you missed the
you
movers.
missed quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
hears.
there's so many elements in there. Like there's that fear of like talking to elders. There's like that fear of like the grandma Baba or whatever.
Yubaba.
Is just, Yubaba
Yeah.
is it's that giant face is just like so much like meeting a scary older relative. You know.
But it's cool because, like, she has, spoilers, has a twin sister.
Yeah.
And it shows, like, that duality of, like, having the good with the bad. Like, even though this one's really scared, this one's really welcoming and, like, very motherly. And,
Yeah,
you know,
but I mean,
like
just like from a
grandmother.
child's perspective,
Yeah.
it's like exaggerating these parts. I remember I watched this in college, and it was the first time I watched, I think, really any anime just very analytically. And there are shots in there that like there's the shot of walking down that little tiny stairway. It's like that kid's fear of like going down to the basement, but on this massive, just grandiose scale. And there's the part where the bathtub overflows, and it's
Yeah.
like this is stuff that scares you and freaks you out when you're
Yeah.
4 years old.
Yeah.
But it's like presenting it in a way that just makes it completely fantastic.
Yeah. One of the things, it's also my favorite movie, and I have all sorts of notes on why, because I'm a dumb egghead. Anyway, but I think it's not only that sense of fear, but also her bravery is believable. Like, you see her visibly freak out over things, and you see her, like, holding her ground, which I think was a big thing, because as a child, you constantly had to face your fears like that. Like, you had to go in the scary basement, and you were so proud when you got out of that situation in one piece. And so-
Ghibli is so good at making all of their characters so expressive. Like, just to that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing. Like, their hair just kind of puffs up, too. Like,
There's
I love
that.
it.
You,
They get that
you
face,
see
you're
her,
like,
like,
Just-
visibly just shaking. She's like, oh my God.
I
The wind
love the
rises
animation.
and the hair puffs up.
Yeah, the animation's so good.
But I also like the fact that all of his films always have something thematic about the environment and ancient Japanese culture and religion, which Miyazaki is very enthusiastic about bringing back. So a lot of his movies take place in the rural countryside and have a lot of Shinto themes, or they have a lot of Heian, Muromachi period type aesthetics which I really like. So the bathhouse in Spirited Away is very much from that time period, and it seems to draw a lot of its inspiration from an ancient scroll called, I wrote it down so I wouldn't have to remember, Choju Giga, which is animal caricatures, which I saw in a museum in Kyoto. There's these ancient scrolls of animals and humans frolicking together, and he loves that type of thing. So the aesthetic is always very beautiful and always very tied to nature and environmental stuff. Like the whole scene with the stinky creature that comes in to take a bath, that was a real experience he had cleaning up his local river. That was a real story about he found a bicycle and he and his friends pulled it out with a rope, and that makes it into Spirited Away. He very much takes his own experiences and puts them in his movies, and I love that. That's cool.
And it's super cool. Unlike you, Miranda, I didn't really grow up with these films at all. So I don't know if I could say that I've seen enough to pick a favorite. You know, like I don't know that I can. But I do love, like, I love how excited we all got when you mentioned the hair. Because
tears
because
too.
because that's such an iconic detail of the animation is even the hair is expressive. And so that's just one of the things I appreciate most about all of these films is the character design and all of that. It's special. Like it makes you, I don't know, if you've seen one of the Miyazaki or even just general Ghibli films when you were younger, like that is one of the most heartwarming things is to go back to it.
Yeah.
I
Max,
love
which is your favorite?
That's a tough call. I think I've said on numerous occasions that if I was stuck watching one movie for the rest of my life, it would probably be Totoro. Like just because it's entirely, there's no resistance. Like it's relaxing and it's interesting.
I don't know about relaxing. Get
I
wrecked,
mean-
Cat Bus. That thing really scared the hell
I
out
love
of me.
Cat Bus.
Oh, that thing is freaky.
He's a
You're all
rascal.
crazy. Don't give me nightmares.
He's great.
Oh,
no,
man.
Cat Bus is wonderful. He's a sweetie pie. But like I love that he doesn't use villains really. Like there are villains in some of his
That's
stuff.
the best thing. Like especially
Yeah.
like you see that with Mononoke. It's like this. Nobody's really truly evil. Like everyone has something redeeming about them that they're trying to accomplish, but maybe through more difficult ends or that something that costs someone else. There's always something redeemable about that.
Yeah.
No, it's like I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think it's like he's given interviews and stuff about this and talked about how he doesn't like. I mean to paraphrase, but it's like the idea that a villain is almost lazy, and it's like I really respect that. And it's like how do you like you know you can kind of have like. I mean, you have some stories where it's like somebody fighting against nature or like somebody kind of fighting against a circumstance, but it's rare that you'll have a story that's compelling without beating over the head with it. Like Totoro, nothing really happens. Like it's kind of just about these kids who move in, and then there's like magic, and then like there's like sort of these little story beats, but it's like it doesn't drag. You know, I mean, I probably wouldn't show it to like a 4-year-old because they probably would get bored, but like it's really watchable, and it's like it's like oh it's raining, like that's a scare. Like your dad is late from work, and you're like, well, how do you make that interesting? Well, you have a cat bus.
Yeah.
And like I mean, it's the fact that I love that Totoro is incredibly cute, but he's not like cutesy. Like it's very much like an animal.
Yeah, like he's still a little menacing sometimes. Like
Yeah.
he's huge.
Yeah.
That's like very scary to like maybe a little
He's
kid.
got that Cheshire Cat grin on his face all the time,
Yeah,
too.
he does. Yeah.
But like the kids aren't scared of him, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, he howls and it's like funny, you know. And I think it's such a wonderful like it's just this childlike wonder that's in there. So I love Totoro so much. Like I might watch that tonight. I don't know. It's great. Noshka is the one that I got into most recently, and that's become kind of my modern favorite because it's like that's hard sci-fi. Like that's his kind of. I feel like he kind of almost put all his eggs in own basket with that one in terms of like world building, because everything kind of since then is like it's still interesting and fun and cool, but this is the first time that he's just like he out the gate like he wrote the whole manga, which I haven't actually read, but like the movie is like he did that. That was his second time basically behind the wheel, and the first time was obviously Lupin, but that was like it's kind of somebody else's jam, you know.
Right.
But the fact that he came out, and he's like, hey. Here's my thing. It's this incredible, like, post-apocalyptic, you know, re-societal epic. And there's just, I don't know if you guys have compared it, but there's like shots of the Force Awakens trailer that look like they're just borrowed from Nashka. Like,
I
all
really?
No,
these-
I haven't
that.
seen those.
very much like that. You can Google it, pull it up side by side. But the shots of like Rey with her spear going into like the Rex Star Destroyer are incredibly
absolutely.
evocative of Nashka going into like the looking for bugs or whatever.
I never made that connection. That's really fascinating.
Yeah. And I think that's I mean, not to go too much off the beaten path here, that gives me like a ton of hope for like kind of for what Star Wars is doing. This is Star Wars under Disney, who is like partnered with Ghibli, and like obviously John Lasseter is a huge fan of
Right, absolutely.
like, but I mean the fact that we see kind of media does that. Media draws from itself, and it's cool that we're at a point where stuff like Miyazaki's movies is so established and so respected that it's something that people can draw from, and it's not just like ripping it off and messing it up or being like, oh, we're not gonna look at that. But Nausicaa's incredible. I also really love. I'm obviously big into 80s stuff, but I love that that's the only one where the music is like really kind of goofy and like synthy. Like it's still Joe Hisaishi who's done all the other music, but it's like he's got like just weird, Moog music and
there
stuff.
was some like synthy things in Mononoke. I was like, whoa, where did this come from?
I should revisit that.
Yeah, it was weird. Like, I was like, oh, okay.
Can we talk about how amazing all the soundtracks are? Like Howl's
they're all
Moving
fantastic.
Castle, that theme has been stuck in my head for like 4 days, and I
Yeah.
love it so much.
I'm actually not a fan of Howl.
You don't like just the movie overall, the soundtrack?
I like it really any of it. I've watched it a couple times, and I think I went in expecting to be blown away in this kind of like magical. Like I was, comparing it to something like Spirited Away or Totoro or Mononoke, but I think it's also the fact that it's an adaptation.
Right.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
an adaptation of a novel.
He's kind of juggling like somebody else's ideas, and like I think he's choosing what to really bring to life. And if I read the I think actually my fiance read the novel, and she said that there's like a lot of different stuff that happens.
I feel like there's a lot missing in the narrative. I think Miranda and I were talking briefly about how the narrative has some issues in Howl's Moving Castle. Like you're like, why did this happen? What happened? Why did this get wrapped up so neatly? So it's interesting you point that out because it's not my favorite. And I think part of the reason is, I'm not going to lie, some of the English dub is very hit or miss. I was like, oof, don't know what's going on with these people, but they're asleep.
What you doing messing with those dubs anyway?
I don't know.
You're part of the Anime Club.
I'm part of the Anime Club, but
Whoa.
as an aspiring voice actress, this is something that I could do one day. And
I like most
so-
of the Ghibli dubs. I think they're usually done really, really well.
Yeah, they usually
Yeah,
get
like,
AAA actors,
amazing.
but
That's something.
every once in a while.
Have you heard the story about the sword with no cuts? Have you heard about that?
No.
So I might be getting some of this wrong, but apparently when they were releasing, I want to say it was either Mononoke or Spirited Away. When Disney got the rights to distribute that stateside, they were like, hey, we're going to cut some of this in the interest of time or something. And apparently Studio Ghibli sent over like a sword that was engraved with just no cuts. And it was like, don't mess with our stuff.
So
Wow.
that's awesome and makes sense.
Like I might be
because-
getting some of that wrong, but the
Yeah.
gist is there. But like,
I gotta look that up.
yeah, I know that very much they were not allowing the the Funimation for kids treatment to happen.
Sure.
Like, they were like,
That,
no.
that makes sense at that time. Like things were getting so butchered and like changed. Like Sailor Moon, they cut the second episode. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
or
mean,
even like any anime that had a gun in it, they changed it to either like fingers or something silly, and
Yeah.
it was just like, come on.
and it's like I think it's very safe to say that in terms of kind of great animators, like Miyazaki is easily the successor to Walt Disney, like in terms of making feature animation motion pictures, like just completely on the same level. And it's kind of cool that they've partnered in that sense, but like I love that they like put their foot down and they were like, no, keep it.
Sorry, I just to go back to no cuts. The studio is also known for its strict no edits policy in licensing their films abroad due to Nausicaa Valley of the Wind being heavily edited for the film's release. The no cuts policy was highlighted when Miramax co-chairman Harvey Weinstein suggested editing Princess Mononoke to make it more marketable. A Studio Ghibli producer is rumored to have sent an authentic Japanese sword with a simple message: no cuts.
So cool.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I really want to quickly go back to the Walt Disney and Miyazaki comparison because I saw something, I think it was on Tumblr a while back, and it was comparing the character designs of recent Disney movies and just all of Studio Ghibli. And one of the things, complaints a lot of people have about the most recent Disney movies is that every princess looks like Rapunzel, just like they slightly tweak the face and it's not even a different face. And, there's that whole like, oh, well, we want her to be pretty while still being expressive. And it's like, well, you can have multiple faces. And so the criticism there is like, the character design isn't strong because they don't vary it at all. Especially in Frozen, I think they were like, yeah, everybody in this family has the same friggin' face.
Yeah.
But the comparison with Ghibli was like, all of these characters are designed really uniquely, and I wanted to know what your thoughts on that were. If you think that's accurate, what do you think about the character design in general?
I think you're going to get some similarities with the same person drawing it.
Right, with the art style, right?
Right. Yeah, like the style is definitely kind of very similar.
Yes.
But I do think they do have better variety in their characters. I mean, you look at, even though we don't love it as much as like House Moving Castle, we have Sophie. She's like turns into an old woman. Like you get this very detailed kind of old woman just taking the stage, which you don't see
and
very
her
often.
as an old woman doesn't look like Yubaba from Spirited Away. You wouldn't mistake them as similar.
Right. Okay.
There's also just a really very drastic kind of difference in tone. You know, like, I mean, Disney stuff is, I think, very, very commercial. You know, it's very, very marketable, and you're going to have stuff that sort of stays within sort of the safe boundaries. And there's some exceptions to that, obviously, but like,
So,
I mean, I think Miyazaki kind of earned his right to do whatever the hell he wanted.
right, and like he always tries to tell something with his films. Like it's not just, well, this is here for fun. It's like,
Yeah.
well, this has a meaning to it. Like, well, we think you should pay more attention to how war affects, the world, and like how it's really detrimental, and how maybe peace is kind of a good thing. Surprise.
Yeah,
and
or
how
maybe we should
care
take better care of the
of the
environment.
environment. Yeah, or how women are really awesome and they should have like leading roles, and they should like that's like also a very big thing is that Miyazaki puts women at the front of his movies a lot.
Without
yeah.
a drop
Without-
of sexualization.
Right.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Like,
I
that's
was-
just not a thing.
Yeah, like it doesn't need to be there. Like you can just see really amazingly designed characters without sacrificing anything about them too. So it's like really cool. So I think like definitely Miyazaki's character designs were fantastic and definitely a step above that.
I like also that he does his movies are all made for a different audience. Like they're all
Yeah.
kind of made so that anybody can appreciate them. But like he's been really like unashamed of the fact that like Ponyo is for little kids. Like,
Yeah.
this is for 4-year-olds. You know.
Yeah,
And
and
it's
I
like-
love it.
It's
It's
great.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ponyo wants him.
Yeah, that's
I love it. Have you seen
bad,
that?
I love
There's
it.
like some dumb post on the internet where it's like Ponyo wants revolution.
I like the one where they're doing the Morse code stuff with the signal of like the little light, and he's just like just talking smack, just changing the translation.
yeah. I love garbage.
Yeah, I need to watch Lupin the Third again. Like I haven't seen that. I've seen like bits and pieces of the main series, but like the fact that Miyazaki did a Lupin the Third movie is kind of bizarre to
That
think about.
threw
it.
me too. I was like, wait,
Yeah.
Miyazaki and Lupin, these things don't go together, but I want to see the movie because I'm like, I want to see what he does with it.
Yeah,
Because I have
it's-
seen a lot of Lupin and I'm like,
I would say
wow,
the best
it's not
comparison
Miyazaki.
is like how David Fincher directed Alien 3. You're just like, oh, you got stuck with something that's kind of a job, like, and you apparently proved yourself with it. So here you go.
Yeah.
You can make your big weird epic about bugs.
One thing that's also awesome about Miyazaki is that they don't just spew out sequels like Disney. Like, I mean, just to more modern Disney, it's like, hell, we're not ashamed to do sequels of something that's like super popular and stuff, and they don't just let the story be. Like, Miyazaki's fine, it's just like, just next thing. You
Yeah.
know, like, just keep going. And I think it just makes the messaging for that story a lot stronger.
Yeah, I'm really
Yes,
glad
like,
that
he
there's not
just-
like My Neighbor Totoro Part 2, Totoro's Revenge, and you're like, all right, I would actually see that
something
movie, but I'm glad they haven't done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like. Well, there is a Totoro sort of not mini sequel. We've got this written down here. There's the Saturn Theater, which is in the basement of the Ghibli Museum I think it's in Osaka.
It's outside
Thereabouts.
of Tokyo.
It's
It's
not-
not. I can still
yeah.
get it's not super close,
Yeah.
but it's somewhere out there.
But you can watch an original short animated feature from Ghibli, which can only be seen in the museum's theater. This is so insane in the age of like mass media to have like something you can only see in one space. Like you can see reproductions of the Mona Lisa all over the place, but to see the original, you got to go see it there. But in terms of like a movie, which obviously has a lot of man hours go into it, and to have it in one specific spot, that's crazy. And I want to be mad about it, but I also just want to see it. Apparently, it's a whole Totoro movie about a cat bus, or it's like Kitty Bus or something. It's like May's like follow up adventure or something. But it's just like, and I guess there's another one that's about, I want to say it's about mice or something, and they show them kind of randomly, so you don't know what you're getting when you go in there. Which is sort of like if I flew to Tokyo to see the
Totoro movie
Totoro
and you
spinoff,
didn't.
and I saw one about mice, I'd be like,
Yeah, but you'd go back to see the movie. It's
I also
really
Just every
smart.
day.
do like movies about mice, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Big Ratatouille fan.
I was about to say.
Yeah, I like
Tom and
Rat-
Jerry.
Yeah,
Stuart Little.
I like a lot of mice movies. All right,
Anyway.
So
Rescuers Down Under.
that kind of
Yes.
brings
Great
us
Mouse
to,
Detective.
like what's happening with Ghibli now? I mean,
Not a whole lot.
not a
No,
whole
not
lot.
a whole
So
lot.
Miyazaki retired, and then
The last thing they did was Princess Kaguya.
No, they did when
The Wind Rises.
when Marnie was there.
Ugh. Yeah, which
Yeah.
was really.
That was their last film. Which
That was
saw that scene.
That was I think the worst Ghibli movie I've seen.
No.
Yeah. Some people really liked it. I walked out of that theater being like, what was
Yeah,
that?
so that was also an adaptation of a book, right? I'm pretty sure. So
And that was it was Miyazaki's son, who
Yeah.
also did
That's right.
what was it, The Secret World of Arietti,
right.
which was cute, which
Yes,
is
I
also
like that.
adapted from a book. But
Yeah, so main production has stopped as of August 2014 because Marnie's there done. Co-producer said that they're dismantling the production department. So
Which is no bueno.
yeah, so it's like we may never see a really big Ghibli film again, which is really sad. But the thing is, like Miyazaki, though he's retired, is still working, which is cool.
Kind of.
He is. He's working.
Well, when is that manga ever going to come out?
So he said he was working on a samurai manga, but he doesn't know if he'll have time to finish it because he has so many projects. Like I think he was working on a logo for a town, and then he was doing that. Yeah, he wanted to make a logo for some project or something.
I want him to make our logo.
I mean, that'd be cool.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, Miyazaki, please make us a mascot or something. Anyway, that would never happen. And he's making short films for the Saturn Theater, so it is just for the Ghibli Museum. He's only working with the Ghibli Museum, nobody else. So his animation still lives. It's still out there, but you probably won't see it.
I mean, Ghibli did the animation sequences for Ni no Kuni, so like they're doing things.
Right, well, that was a while ago.
That was a while
so
ago, but I mean, like,
So, like,
that's
if
the most
we-
recent one I can think of, right?
if we
like,
see anything produced outside of that, like I don't,
you're
I don't know
like
if that's gonna
feature
happen.
films, yeah. I
Yeah,
don't
so I
know.
think it's going to be a really long time before we see that. And it's kind of speaks to how powerful Miyazaki was, or his, his status there. It's like, oh, guys, I'm done for now, and they're like, okay, guys, gotta shut down, shut down. It's like,
I really respect that.
yeah, I think
I'm
it's great.
Completely okay with it. In the same way that like there's like I think Robert Zemeckis is like, no Back to the Future sequel. Like I made 3 movies, that's it, we're done.
Yeah,
And I'm like, all right,
Like,
they're
respect-
really good.
Yeah,
Like,
Totally respect that. Like,
what's
don't
happening.
squeeze it for as much money as possible, which I hate in Hollywood right now. Which is like, all right, we're going to make this
Yeah.
totally unnecessary reboot
Like
of this beloved thing that is perfect.
they're remaking Memento. I'm like,
that's really yeah.
yeah, I like that.
Everyone's got really bad short-term memory. I don't know.
Yeah, it's that.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. I mean, this kind of ties into Miyazaki making things only for the Saturn Theater, is like really respecting your IP to the point where it's like, this is for a select audience, this is for a select venue. We're not going to milk it for money. Like this is art. This is my work.
I would say that to call it an IP is almost doing it a disservice. It's to
Yeah,
to treat your art like art. Like it's
Yeah.
to actually value it and not just like farm it out. And I think that it sucks that there's a kind of big stretch of the last, well, since it's really its foundation, where the name Disney became like a pejorative. Like it was sort of be like, oh, they've Disneyfied this, and it's like they've taken. I mean, Pocahontas, kind of cringeworthy in hindsight. Like
Yeah.
Hunchback of Notre
You're a little
Dame.
kid.
Kind of really awful. Like
Yeah.
a lot of that stuff is really just like, oh, so you took something of value and you converted it to this style guide. Whereas like I'm so pleased with the idea that Miyazaki and Ghibli don't have that happen to them.
Yeah.
That I don't start to groan when I see that wonderful Totoro logo pop up on the screen.
Yeah, it's you can really tell there's a lot of respect for the work that they've done. And yeah, it doesn't feel like, I don't feel oversaturated by it. So on my home computer, my Google Chrome like theme is Totoro, and it's really cute.
Aw.
So, but like if it were freaking Lion King, I'd be like, okay, God, I've seen 1,000 of these.
I will say,
You know what I mean?
have you been to Japan yet?
No.
You go to like I'm pretty cool with this too though, but you go to Japan and there are like Ghibli corner stores and stuff.
It's the
Yeah.
best,
Good.
though. I'm
Good.
just like, please let me have all the GGs.
Yeah.
Yep. I got I have Totoro bowls and chopsticks and yeah.
That's the better way to do it. It's like, don't, work your art in a weird way that forces you to make something else that's not really true to what you had envisioned.
Yeah.
But like products, that's different.
Merchandising.
It's like
Different.
merchandising.
Well, the merchandise, like also the Totoro themed stuff is really, really cute. So it doesn't.
They
doesn't
eat in that
feel
movie. It
like-
makes sense. This
it
fits
makes
the
sense.
message.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just, I don't know. It doesn't feel overdone the same way that, I mean, like, and I'm actually not huge into Disney at all, but I don't like hate Disney or anything. But for Disney, it's like, okay, I've seen Frozen branded ELF makeup. I'm so tired of this. Like, no, stop. There's just, I don't know, I have a different attitude toward it. Maybe because we live in America.
There's also Star Wars makeup, so come on.
There's Star Wars everything
the Star Wars
right
makeup
now.
isn't even that creative, you guys.
It's like,
Sorry.
you can just get the shade the same.
It's
but,
the
like,
same
$5
shade. You go to
cheaper.
the Mac store and it's the same thing.
Yeah, but if it has Princess Leia on it, I am going to buy it because I'm trash. I really like Princess Leia.
Hey, we all know things.
Hey,
we
that
all
character.
Hey,
She
you're allowed
didn't
to
have great
like
makeup.
This
I'm just,
isn't.
They didn't have great anything. They had no budget.
This isn't like an anti-merchandising.
Sure,
because I buy branded stuff all the time.
guys look at my desk. Like
Yeah,
really.
no, yeah.
Come on.
Our desks. My desk is a pile of
Electric
Pikachus
rats everywhere.
and a pile of Hello Kitties, and
The Pikachu is bigger than Miranda, by the
Yeah,
way.
I think the Ghibli merch does a good
Pokemon
job
Center.
of walking that fine line. Of
Exactly.
It feels like museum store gifts. Like it feels like if you go to a art opening and they have
Right.
like, hey, thanks for coming by and checking out the works of Hieronymus Bosch. Here's an ashtray that has a
With his work on it.
yeah, and you're like it's sort of tacky,
Or
but
if
it's merchandise is kind of a necessary evil to make stuff like that
yeah,
survive.
if you buy a
Sure,
Salvador Dali melting clock, you know.
Yeah.
But and maybe the reason we think of the merchandise as more artsy is because we think of the works, the movies, as more because the creators respect them as art.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not that what Disney do like isn't art necessarily, but I think the way we perceive each one kind of affects the way we perceive their merchandising as well.
Sure. I mean, look at all the princess stuff that they do.
Yeah.
Like, that's a huge moneymaker for them. So, like, on the one hand, it's like you've got, is it Meredith from Brave?
Merida?
Merida, sorry. I'm tired. But like, she was this really
close.
strong character, and then when she became a Disney princess, like, they cinched her waist, and they made her super pretty, and they
right.
did all that because,
Yeah.
hey,
Give her the
merchandising.
Disney princess treatment.
Yeah, and that's really too bad because it's a really cool character.
Nope, it's all
So-
about Mulan.
Aside from Disney things, what do we want to see from Ghibli next? Like, if anything, do you think it's better if they just kind of stop? Do we want to see another video game? Kuni 2? I don't know. Do we need anything else from them?
I'm totally cool if Ghibli starts doing more game stuff. Other than Kuni was one of the prettiest games I've ever seen.
So gorgeous.
Yeah, it felt like kind of like a sort of like a what now Pokemon kind of move, you know. Yeah, they had a little Totoro with pants and bat wings. It was real good. Real big fan of that pirate cat.
Yeah, I would like to see more games. Maybe. I mean, we just talked about respecting the what you've done and not milking it, but
Soot Sprite mobile game. You got to click on all the dust bunnies, make them go
Yeah.
away.
All right, it's fine. I'll play. It's fine.
it's fine. Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I still need to watch all of Ghibli's movies. So I'm like, you could stop for a while. I need to catch up. Like, slow down. Not that they're going fast or anything.
They hold
but
up. They hold
yeah.
up real well to like closer inspection. I mean, there's so much detail in those.
yeah.
You could. That's you kind of don't need to make more. You
Yeah.
just kind of keep watching them. There's a lot to look at.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mentioned Princess Kaguya was the most recent Ghibli film that I saw, and I don't think Miyazaki worked on that. And I wasn't a huge fan of the narrative, but the art style was so incredible, and I love that because it's like one of my favorite Japanese fairy tales ever. I wouldn't mind if they continued the tradition of going back to ancient fairy tales and ancient cultural stuff in Japan and continuing that tradition, because I think that's something that Miyazaki did really well. On the other hand, I'm always a little nervous that they're just not going to be able to capture his imagination and his
Yeah.
passion for it.
So
Nobody
exactly
can
what
be him.
Disney did.
Yeah,
And then they ran out of
right?
fairy tales, and they were like, yeah,
Yeah, Pocahontas was
airplanes.
cars.
What if cars talk? What if the world was ruled by cars? No.
Awful, awful things.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
I am personally happy if they just kind of stop. Like, I think what they have is beautiful and everything is
Absolutely.
great. And as long as we have the Blu-rays, I'm happy. Like, I really hope that Miyazaki gets to make his manga so I can read it. So
Yeah.
Yep.
separate from Ghibli now, but yeah. So let us know what you guys want. Do you want more movies? Do you want the games, the video games? Tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that kind of concludes our discussion. I think you were gonna.
I'm gonna bounce.
Pop
I'm gonna go yell about Star Wars in the other room or something. But thank you guys so much for having
Thank
me.
you for
Thank you for coming.
back.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's always a treat. I should catch up on more anime.
Where can they find you doing things?
You can catch me every Thursday Pacific time at noon when I do Up at Noon with my pal Brian Altano, who does not like anime. And I know, I'm sorry.
Scandalous.
I apologize for him.
He just needs to find the right anime.
Yeah, I think he likes Totoro.
He needs to find the right anime and settle down. That's
yeah.
what that's going
But we do basically just kind of all kinds of junk food, pop culture stuff. And this week we found out that there's a new study that reveals that cats are scared of cucumbers. So we're going to do some
Oh yeah.
science to test that on
Throw
my
cucumbers
on
at cats and see what happens.
Apparently they're real scared of cucumbers. I don't know why that is.
That's random.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do.
I really liked your Slave Leia bikini segment from
Oh,
I think
thanks.
last week or the week before. Yeah, Up at Noon's cool.
Did
should
you
check it out.
dress up as slave?
Absolutely.
No, they
Absolutely
talked about
not.
why discontinuing Slave Leia merchandise is a thing and
Yep.
and can be
Yep.
positive.
It's a whole can of worms, but
Yeah.
We open it anyway. And then, of course, I do Podcast Beyond, which is mostly
Beyond.
about PlayStation. And yeah, that's it. That's another
And
thing
the
you
Twitter?
can stick in your ear holes. I'm Max Scoville on Twitter. I go in there and I get real crotchety. I posted a picture of this. Those of you watching a video, it's a Dragon Ball figurine of the character Lunch. Who a lot of people corrected me is named Launch. And that was what one of the translations is, but Toriyama named all his characters after food.
I was
so
going to
it's
say,
lunch.
you told us that, and so
Yeah.
I've always remembered that and kept it in mind.
It's a true fact about a non-existent sneezing woman who turns into a psychopath. On that
right.
note, I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys later.
Thank you, Max.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Oh man.
I wish
That
my name
was-
was Lunch.
I could use some lunch right now. I'm really hungry.
Yeah, I'm getting texts about some lunch, and I'm just like, I don't want that. Don't get that for me. Okay. Anyway, lunch.
Lunch.
Someone offered to give me lunch, but I don't want what they're offering. I mean,
Oh.
politely declining. Anyway.
Anime.
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 Yay, anime.
Yay, anime.
Awkward times.
We got the watch party.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
finally kicking it back with the watch party. If you guys don't know what this is, every week we watch 2 episodes of a show. Right now we're watching Gurren Lagann, which was chosen by all of you. So, and if you didn't choose it, well, you can choose it next time.
Yay.
And you can
Yay.
stay with us now.
Oh, Shirobako.
Shirobako! Watch Shirobako! Just watch Shirobako.
So good.
Just watch
Talk
Shirobako.
about Shirobako every day.
What if we just have a Shirobako episode?
I mean,
This is your Christmas present. Us not giving you an education on the best anime there is.
An anime about anime. It's
We're
very
gonna tell
meta.
you.
anime.
We're gonna tell you the best.
my Shirobako
best
pen
things. Just kidding.
that a boy brought me from Japan.
Aw.
Anyway.
Okay.
That was so cute.
Anyway, Shirobako. So episodes 5 and 6 were kind of weird, especially with 6 because there's a lot of flashbacks.
Yeah.
5 was particularly cool though. I really liked how, if you saw it, they fell into a hole in the ground and they're back into another kind of cave village.
Right back.
Yeah, they're right back where they started,
Right back
except
where they started.
in a much poorer town that has limited food and supplies.
Yeah.
So they hold a lottery and they kick people out and let them go starve
I feel
to death.
like there's a short story of something like that. There is a short story called Lottery, but I think it's about something completely
It's
different.
way different.
It's way
Yeah.
different. So never mind. Don't listen to me. But
High school.
yeah. Really quickly, this is something I didn't get to talk about last week because I just spaced on it. But the character Ron, what's his full name? Lauron or
Laron. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
close.
I just didn't get to mention this. He's a perfect example of a queer coded character in a negative way. I really don't like the portrayal of that character.
Okay, thank you. I had the same issue, but I didn't know if I should bring it up.
Yeah, I mean, queer coding is a thing where you code a character as queer, and then that becomes their entire personality, and it's
And the
portrayed
punchline.
and it's portrayed in a negative way. This often happens with villains. If you think about him in Powerpuff Girls, is
Yeah.
a queer coded villain. So I have that problem with this character where it's like, ha 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 ha, what a flirty person who has a gender identity thing that's weird, and I'm just not a fan of that. So I just wanted to bring that up really fast before I forgot.
No, it's an issue. From the very beginning, he has that weird finger thing that he does, and it's that
Yeah.
oh, you're gay and you're perverted. There's something wrong, or you're touchy feely, and that made me angry. I was like, you know what, Japan, get it together.
Yeah, and I mean, even the way he's drawn is very different from the other characters, and I do like that. At least he's a little more well-rounded of a character in that, he does have a talent, which is being a mechanic. There's
Very good one too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
really good
the
one.
best mechanic, which is really important when you're dealing with mechas. So
Yeah.
there are positive things to his character as well.
He and Yoko are like my favorite characters so far.
Yeah.
Like I
Oh,
really
I
like
love
them,
Yoko.
and I love when they
Yoko's
talk
great.
to each other.
Yoko's so great. Yeah, I really love her. So yeah, I don't want to be like all negative, but I just want to point that out. Wanted to point that out. The queer coding of Ron.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, I love Yoko. She's so great.
Yeah. If they could just have a Will and Grace kind of episode with just the two of them, I'd be so happy.
Oh my gosh, make it happen.
Yes, please.
It's too late. The show's already over.
Yeah, too late.
But yeah, back to episode 5. Episode 6 is a kind of a letdown, and I will let Adam Cobb on Twitter at the Adam Cobb put it into words as saying, not sure why episode 6 of Gurren Lagann felt it necessary to waste time recapping the previous 5 episodes. Because it was mostly episode recap, and it's just like, it's a little early for that.
Exactly. It's really early to have a recap at episode 6. I don't know if this was a money issue or something.
Or like editing, like 'cause a lot of things happen for that. Like if
Yeah.
it's an editing thing with the broadcasts, or if you have to change things. So there's a lot of reasons that we may not know. I mean, you could probably look it up and figure out, or maybe they just decided it was time to do a recap with fun hot spring time with references to Evangelion. So
Yeah, I'm sure there's lots of factors that go into that kind of thing. I know that later on there's like animation budget issues where it's like, oh, we're talking, but we're looking at the sky because we can't afford to animate our faces. So that might have been a factor in this episode as well. I don't know.
I know. It's not winning me over, these types of things, and I'm already kind of on the fence about this show. So.
Yeah, so you were probably, out of all of us, the one who liked it the least going in. So have you improved your opinion at all after the? I mean, you just said
I don't know.
episode 6 isn't winning you over. But
I'm still on the fence about the show. People assure me, actually, on the Facebook page, they've had great discussions about. Some people are like, I hated the show in the beginning, and then it really got good. But on the other hand, somebody was saying, I really loved the show, and then as it kept going, I lost interest. So I have no idea how I'm going to feel about this show by the end. So it's still up in the air, one way or the other. I mean, we just talked about, the characters and how some of them are portrayed. Now we've got a recap and pacing issues and weird edits, and I don't know. It's a rough start.
Yeah.
to that point, though, I still think episode 5 was just kind of like more to the heart of Gurren Lagann.
Yeah.
With like this, the best thing is like world building and just like really taking care to like highlight the actual problems with this, with what we have to do. It's like this community literally cannot survive, so they have to kill people off. Like we can have 50 people.
Yeah, I thought that was really strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are things to like about it. It's
Sure.
one of those things where I'm not feeling it so far on a whole.
I really love the aesthetic of this show too. Like
That's
even
my least favorite.
I know. I don't know. I really like even the opening, just like seeing them standing all cool and then they get all sleepy later. Like I just like the opening even because I'm like, yeah, they're so cool. I love Yoko, and then they're also like kind of dorks. And I still love Kamina.
The opening music is fantastic. It's one of my favorite anime openings ever.
I love the little, they're not title cards, but the cards at the halfway point of the episode.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
love like the music that plays, like the really short riff that plays.
Yeah, the
during
music
that.
is good.
That's super great. Yeah, I really like the music. Really like the art style.
Uh-oh, Miranda's saying.
Miranda realized something.
I'm reading some of our comments on our Facebook group, which you can join at facebook.com/group/IGN Anime Club. Kevin. I'm sorry, Kevin. You have a really long last name.
You can just do initial for last name.
Kevin S.
There you go.
Gives us our Gurren Lagann lesson 2, which is awesome because he's been breaking down these episodes in like cool ways, and I really appreciate you.
Yes.
Please
yes.
tell me how to spell your or say your last name because it's like really intimidating and I don't want to butcher it. But he's saying like episode 5, of course, is really important, and like kind of those ones on Steins Gate. It's like, hey, this is actually a really important episode.
like,
Maybe pay attention
some
here.
foreshadowing.
Yeah, it's a surprise.
Ah.
And that episode 6, I think for the one we probably watched is the censored version, but there's like 2 versions. There's like the uncut one and the one that's censored for, broadcast. Probably watch the censored one. It's just, of course, a little bit more fan servicey.
Yeah.
But the cool things about the Bunny Girls is that a lot of them are like Gainax cameos. So of course, like I said, like Evangelion. And if you haven't seen them, there's also like Gunbuster characters, which I love Gunbuster, but from Gunbuster 2. And so it's just kind of like really cool that you have some cross characters. Like it's just like that. Obviously, was like just the fun episode, like where you just had to.
Sure.
Just recap.
Winks and
It's
nods
fun.
are appreciated. So
Yeah. So I was just like, oh yeah. So that's just me right now. I'm just like, oh yeah, so cool.
no, that was very thoughtful that he pointed that out.
Yes, thank you, Kevin S.
Yes.
Yeah, so sorry guys, I didn't get to do much research on what everybody was saying, but there didn't seem to be too much on these episodes because, of course, these were a little bit lighter, or at least episode 6 was just a recap. So,
Yeah.
surprise, not much to say.
Yeah. Nope.
Speaking
Not so
of
much.
pronouncing last names, though, I think Facebook added a name pronunciation thing. So
Oh my
that's
God.
pretty cool. I set mine so people stop calling me Kaylee. My name's not Kaylee.
Callie.
Yeah, it's Callie. So I discovered that because people always mispronounce my name. So Kevin, if you haven't done that, maybe you could do that, and we could figure it out that way. But thank you so much. We appreciate the Facebook group very, very much.
Yes, our Facebook group is awesome, and you can reach us at that and Twitters and
The hashtag IGN Anime.
yes, which is very clever. Miranda came up with that. And we also have an email address. And thank you so much. So many people have been writing in, and it's amazing.
Yeah, we got those cool pictures.
Yeah, somebody actually sent in tons of pictures from their trip to Japan, and they're amazing.
I haven't seen those yet.
Yeah, it's
Thanks.
cool. Yeah,
Check
thank
those
you.
out because it was really fun. And I love that people share that experience with us and other anime fans. Like, I love our community so much. It's so
Guys are
positive,
awesome.
and people always say our community is the best because we always keep it positive. We refuse to let people
Yeah.
snark at each other about their favorite anime, and we always try to encourage people
Because
to
remember,
recommend
your
things.
favorite is someone's most hated.
Yeah,
So-
always. That's a hard and
just
fast rule.
It's how
By the
opinions
way.
work. I mean, around the office, people will come tell us, like, your community is really great. So,
Yeah.
So you
thank
guys
you
are
all.
awesome.
Keep it
people,
up.
People notice you. Senpai notice
Senpai
you.
notice.
So as for next week's episode, I'm not too sure what's going on with that because we have a short week next week with
Right.
Thanksgiving. So we may or may not have an episode. Keep tuned to our Twitters and to the Facebook group, and we'll let you guys know.
Yes.
And with that, you guys wanna run it up?
Yeah.
Run it up?
Yeah.
You can reach me on Twitter at HaveItGrows with a K.
You can reach me at Megan, MEGHAN_IGN.
I'm Inky Dojiko. INKYDOJIKKO.
And
Get-
that
Yeah.
has been episode 31 of IGN Anime Club. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. We love
Yay
you.
anime!
Yay anime!